everyone. It's 6 a.m. I am off to work. These are very strange times, as I know you all know. Oh, Sweetie's, Sweetie's just come to look out the window too. Hey babe, what are you looking at? See the birdies? So yeah, these are very strange times that we are living in. Last night here in the UK, we found out that we are now on lockdown. It's not as heavy as the restrictions that my mum is facing in France. So we are allowed out for a walk or a bike ride once a day. We're allowed to go to essential work. So I'm a critical worker, as it might be called, because I work for a water company. And we're allowed to go out and get food and medical supplies, but we're not allowed to go out for any other reason. So this is something that has never happened in my lifetime in this country, and probably most people, unless you went through the war, in which case I don't know if there was actually a lockdown as such, but there was certainly some similar circumstances, I guess. Except we're not getting bombed, and our men aren't out fighting and losing their lives. So at least we have that, but of course we do have a scary virus that we are all trying to fight. My thoughts go out to everyone in the country and everyone in the world that is now affected by this situation. But of course I've decided to carry on reviewing fragrances, even though a lot of the companies I might now be talking about are potentially not even going to be able to fulfill orders at the moment. But we can all build up our try list and buy lists in the meantime. Looking forward to a time, hopefully in the not too distant future, where this will all be a memory and we say, do you remember that time when we were locked down? So let's hope we all get through this. In the meantime, today I am reviewing two fragrances for you, both by the house of Terence Hughes. I was kindly sent decants by my lovely fragrant friend Robert. And I've got on my right wrist, I've just sprayed Blood Orange, and on my left wrist I sprayed Slut. I went with these two because they're the fresher of the bunch that I've got, and I wanted to test them side by side and just give them a little review for you. I did go over them in a live stream quite a while ago, which I'll probably link below if I remember. And my first impressions of the fragrances in general, they're not quite my style of fragrance. They kind of rely quite heavily on a lot of synthetic woodsy type molecules, which Aaron admits freely in his video. He does work with a lot of synthetic molecules, but my taste in fragrance is generally, I'm happy for synthetics to be used. I think synthetics are necessary to create a well-balanced fragrance. I don't necessarily want to specifically be able to smell the different sort of woodsy synthetics, if you like. So we'll see how we get on today. So on this wrist here, Blood Orange, and it smells somewhat like grapefruit and orange together. It's extremely sharp, almost like grapefruit, orange and an icicle. So we've got this like really sharp cold edge to it. Virgin on metallic without being full on metallic. And a hint of a woodsiness, but that's more in the background. It's much more about icy cold citrus accord. When I think of Blood Orange, I think of Lyra by Xerjoff. That has Blood Orange in the opening. I'm trying to kind of think, do I actually get Blood Orange specifically? And I think I do a little bit, although I wouldn't necessarily pick it out. Blood Orange can be a bit bitter. It's certainly not a particularly sweet citrus. It's more of a bitter, sharp citrus. And it's kind of musky as well. So not bad at all. That opening is absolutely fine. So let's try the other wrist. I went up here, right up here with this one, because I don't want my watch to get involved, because my watch does pick up lots of different fragrances. So now Slut is really unusual because it smells very strongly of neroli and petitgrain, so it's quite a bitter green and citrus opening, very natural smelling, literally like you took the essential oils of neroli and petitgrain and maybe added a tiny bit of extra wood. So petitgrain is the leaf and twigs of an orange tree, and it comes off usually green, slightly orangey and a little bit bitter. But here there's a muskiness and a woodsiness, and I would say it's something ever so slightly animalic. There is kind of, I don't know what the animalics are in here. It's very lightly done in the opening anyway, but it feels like there might be a hint of castoreum maybe, but not in the way that you notice it in Kuros, which is quite full on. It's very much blended with the neroli petitgrain sort of opening. So that's what I'm going to give you for now, and I will come back later. Got to go to work. Hello, so just a quick disabled toilet update for you. We are now 1 hour and a half into the wear, and blood orange I will give you an update on. The notes are blood orange, mandarin, tangerine, jasmine sambac, sandalwood, musk, and I think the current version has ambergris. However, I believe this is before the ambergris went into it. This has lost most of the top notes, so that orangey citrus accord that it started out with has almost all gone. It now just smells very much like a musky, woodsy scent with just a tiny hint of the oranginess that it had. I never noticed any jasmine. So if I was to guess at the ingredients in here, I think there's probably ambroxan and Isoe Super. Quite soft, musky, quite pleasant scent. Not particularly loud. I did 3 sprays from the decant, and the projection's sort of like that off of my wrist. But it doesn't excite me too much. It is a concoction of synthetic woods and molecules and musks, which is perfectly palatable, perfectly pleasant, absolutely unisex. A touch on the soapy side maybe. And that's kind of it for now. Not a very complex fragrance, very citrusy in a bitter way to start with, and the citrus notes have cleared away very quickly to leave a soft, musky woodsiness. So let's move on to the other one. So now we are on to Slut. So this one has lost that very strong, bitter citrus opening, and it has retained some of the green bitterness, but it hasn't got so much of the orange, bergamot, lemon. That's kind of all gone, so it's more like a petitgrain, but more woods, less leaves, if that makes sense. Slightly green, slightly woody, definitely a bit soapy as well, and lots of Isoe Super. So again, it's dried down to a musky, woody scent with retaining some of more of the petitgrain rather than the citrusy notes. There's also supposed to be jasmine in this, but I haven't been able to pick it out. Perfectly pleasant, not something I would expect a fragrance called Slut to smell like. I would have expected something dirty, So for example, if you think of État libre d'orange, putain de palace, which basically means hotel slut, that's how it translates. That has a cumin note in it to kind of give a little bit of body odor, and that's got some more sexy notes in it that might make you think of a slut. I think it's more for a man that is into something that's kind of fresh and mass appealing to start with, and then dries down into a woody base. So the kind of chap that doesn't want anything too unusual in his fragrance, the kind of chap that's used to wearing things like Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, but perhaps just wants to change it up a little bit. The only thing is a kind of a juxtaposition, because the name doesn't really match what it does. So the way it smells is for a man who's not really looking to stand out, yet the name is going to be kind of awkward for that kind of person. So it's kind of a juxtaposed fragrance. The name and the smell, in my opinion, don't really add up. Yeah, that's all for now. Hiya, so a little update then. We are now way over 12 hours in from when I first applied both fragrances, and I'm going to start with Blood Orange. So this is now just a musky orange smell, so mostly musk with a hint of orange. So it started out with the citrus accord, very quickly became kind of woodsy, with a lot of those synthetic modern wooden molecules like your ambroxan musks, and sort of like, you know, just woodsy sort of modern masculine type fragrance, quite dry. And then as time went by, it lost the woodsiness and became musky, and that's what we've got now. Just Sweetie's just doing that on some furniture. That's what she does. It's just got a little bit of the orange left, and it's like a clean musk. So what I found was it became quite close to the skin about 6 hours in. So it was projecting fairly well for the first 5 hours, and then about the 6 hour-ish mark, it was just projecting a little bit. But it's still there, but you would definitely call it very close to the skin. And then with Slut, I'm just Slut here. So with this one, it's a lot more noticeable. So Slut definitely gives you a much better performance than Blood Orange. What I found with Slut then is the opening was definitely kind of green, bitter and slightly citrusy, then woodsy, ISOE Super and Broxton, not as musky as Blood Orange. Blood Orange definitely had a distinct clean white musk feel, and Slut had more of a Ambroxan ISOE Super, more woody profile, and all the way through. And even now, it's basically a woodsy, powdery, dry scent. So I think if you like modern masculine fragrances, functional fragrances that make you smell good, like Jeremy's Office, like Dior Sauvage, then this could be the kind of fragrance that you like. I think I personally prefer something with a little bit more of a heart, and what I mean is more of a story, something that captures my imagination. And this is more of a functional fragrance that just makes you smell good. Nothing wrong with that, but it just didn't excite me at all. And it definitely felt like both fragrances lent more on the masculine side, with that masculine woody synthetic base, which basically is the main part of the fragrance. So you've got some nice top notes with the sort of non-sweet citruses or petitgrains that are used, but they do quickly dissipate, and so you kind of get top notes and base notes, but it's just missing anything connecting in the middle, and just not my thing. but it may well be your thing. Do test them if they sound like they might be up your street, if you're looking for something functional that will make you smell good. I think in terms of value, Slut is £55 for 50ml. I think that's fine, that's absolutely acceptable. Blood Orange, which is currently sold out, by the way, I don't know if it will be repeated. Blood Orange is a lot more expensive, it's £140 for 50ml. And I think that, in my opinion, is overpriced for what you get. There are 10ml available, so Blood Orange at 10ml was £30 and Slut for 10ml was £15. So once again, Slut, that I think the value is there, Blood Orange not so much. Unfortunately, you can't get samples, so I'd like to say don't blind buy, but the option to sample is not there either. You will find quite a lot on eBay at the moment, so I'd say that a fair few failed blind buys going around. You may well be able to pick up a bottle or maybe a 10ml at a cheaper price, or maybe get in on a split on one of the Facebook groups. If your tastes align with mine, you could probably bypass this and you're not missing out. But if your tastes are more for that functional fragrance, something that just makes you smell good and you're not too worried about anything else, then yeah, it might be worth trying. So that is my review today for Blood Orange and Slut, and I'll see you in the next video.